Welcome, everybody. We are live from, many places this time. I am in Dallas, Texas. I'm Gustavo Tolosa, the webinar coordinator for Dr. McDougall, and we have Mary and Heather McDougall from Santa Rosa, California, and several other guests that I will introduce shortly from all over the country. And this is going to be a very interesting webinar because and practical, because we will have these 5, perhaps 6 moms that join us, and they will share with all of us practical ideas of preparing lunches, school lunches for kids. But like Heather mentioned in the email that went out, I think yesterday, these lunches can be for anyone, adults, anybody that have to take lunches to work or to school. So it's not just for kids. I'm really excited because our kids are the future of this country. They are the future presidents and doctors and teachers and artists, and we need to be very careful and feed them food that is not killing them, but is actually, we're raising strong and healthy kids. And of course, we adults want to be around as well to see their successes and their families. So we also want to eat healthy, and I think this webinar is going to show all of us some healthy options. Like I said earlier, I'm Gustavo Tolosa, and I'm a professional concert pianist, but I have lost over 75 pounds doing the McDougall program, and I know it can be done. It's a program that is sustainable, that you can do for the rest of your life, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. So without any more delaying, I'd like to introduce Mary and Heather McDougall. I want to say a little bit about Mary. Mary McDougall is Dr. John McDougall's wife, and she's a nurse and a homemaker, and she's the co-author of at least 8, but probably more, maybe close to 10 now, national best-selling books. And she is also the co-founder of the McDougall program, and she has developed probably thousands of recipes that are featured in the website, drmcdougall.com. And Heather McDougall is the COO of the McDougall program, and she wears so many hats that it's impossible to list them all, but she moved to Santa Rosa, California in 2002, I think. Well, no, she didn't. The program moved. The McDougall program moved to Santa Rosa, California in 2002, and she is involved with this program. Actually, right now there's a 10-day live-in program going on, and we're very excited. She has 3 young boys who are probably the toughest food critics in the Sonoma County, and we want to welcome you, Mary and Heather. You're now on the big screen here, and how are you doing today?
Great. Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Yes, we see a lot of people logging in. It's always exciting to see that on the chat.
Well, we're excited to be here.
So you have, right now there is a 10-day live-in program going on, right? How is it going? We would just want to know a little bit about what it is like to see how.
We've got 47 people right now. We're on day 8, 7, and everyone's doing really well. So we're busy with that, but excited to take time out and join everybody in this webinar and talk a little bit about lunches. My boys just started school yesterday, so I've been packing lunches for my boys starting yesterday, and they are hungry, always eating. But with our school, it's set up that lunch is before recess, so they want to eat as quickly as they can so they can get out to recess and start playing. So we do lots of finger foods, lots of snack foods, things that they can quickly eat. A few of the simple things we do are hummus and veggies and pretzels. We'll do leftover soup from the night before. That's easy to put into a thermos. We'll do pasta, peanut butter and jelly, other veggie sandwiches. I try to keep it really simple. And like I said, they want to be able to eat as quickly as they can and get off the play. So.
Right. Okay.
You know, I'm always trying new things, and like I said, we just started yesterday, so they're coming up with new favorites already. My middle son wanted tabbouleh in his lunch today, so.
Oh, that was something I was going to ask you if they have any favorite foods or anything that they ask for repeatedly.
Mashed potatoes and gravy. That's hands down. They will eat that before bed. They eat that for snack. I always have mashed potatoes and the golden gravy that you can find online on our website or also in the app. And I just have that in the fridge. It takes, you know, just a couple minutes to heat up, and we eat lots of mashed potatoes and gravy. And our garden is now producing all these potatoes, so I have potatoes, so it's really easy, but definitely mashed potatoes and gravy.
They're true starchivores, right?
Absolutely. I would say 85% of their diet is starch.
Right.
You know, and when you guys were growing up too, mashed potatoes and gravy was the favorite. You know, and Heather was always more experimental in her foods. Like, you would be the one that would take tabbouleh in your lunch or leftovers from the night before. But my two boys were very plain eaters. So it would be peanut butter and jelly, or my middle son had what he called a spaghetti sandwich, which was just marinara sauce that I had made the night before and spread on bread.
Wow.
And my youngest son just liked beans, so he would have bean burritos in his lunch every day. But Heather was always the one that liked all the different things.
And that's like me. My oldest will try almost anything, and my youngest two are a little bit picky.
Right. Well, it's interesting how some kids just want to stick to one or two things, and then others don't mind trying new things. That's really interesting to me. So anyway, any other stories that you have, Heather? I mean, Mary, about your kids when they were growing up, about what they liked? No.
Gustavo, it has been such a long
It's been such a long time. I know.
I had to pack a lunch for a student that is hard to remember. I remember packing little boxes of grapes and things that they could pop in their mouth quickly. But these days they have so many more convenient little packages that you can put things in, and in our day we had baggies, and that was about it. And thermoses.
Right.
So it's a lot easier. Like Heather says, she packs all these little different things with hummus and vegetables, and I would have had to, I don't know what, find a small container to pack the hummus in. And
that's what I do, because we try to do no waste lunches. So I've got all these little containers that I put in all their lunch boxes,
and they bring them home. The containers.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me something. Have you ever, either Mary or Heather, had a teacher that approached you and asked you, where do your kids get the protein and all the nutrients? Because
I write letters to both of my son's schools because they were getting hounded about, where's your protein, eat your protein first. And for most people, protein is meat or cheese, and my kids didn't have that in their lunchbox. So they were starting to feel badly, like, I don't know, where's my protein? You know, protein's in everything. So I had to write letters talking about how we don't focus on our protein. We focus on our starches and our fruits and vegetables, and gave them my father's newsletter articles on protein. You know, this is what we believe. Here's the research to support it. And, you know, please don't give my sons a hard time about the protein in their lunches, because they have an incredibly healthy lunch that's full of just the right amount of protein and starch and all the vital nutrients. So I've had to deal with that.
Right. Well, it's really good here to remind everybody that when you go to the website, drmcdougall.com, and you type in the search bar, let's say, protein, there will be a ton of articles written by Dr. McDougall himself that you can print, like Heather said, and if needed, you can take them to school or submit them with a letter.
Absolutely. That's what I did. And also in our website, in our newsletter, January, February, and March of 2013, I did a series of kid-friendly meals. So dinner, lunches, snacks, breakfasts, all the things that my kids like to eat. So that might be really helpful for everyone.
Right, right. The same thing comes up with calcium. You know, where do you get your calcium since you don't drink milk or have cheese? And so, same thing. Dr. McDougall has written really great articles. They're free. They're on his website. And then he gave a whole chapter on calcium in his book, The Starch Solution. So if you don't have the book, I highly recommend that you get it. And that's all your questions are answered there. All right. So any other thing before I introduce Emma? Do you want to say anything else, Heather or Mary?
Well, John just reminded me that when he was sailing a lot, I used to make him what we called a sailboat sandwich, and it was a mixture of beans that I had cooked in a casserole dish with peppers and onions, and then blended it up. And cooled it down and blended it up, and that was the base for his sandwich, and I added lettuce and tomatoes to it. And we still do that. We make a mock tuna spread that's in the Quick and Easy Cookbook, or it's online.
Yeah, or the deviled.
Or the deviled spread that we make that we put on as a base for a sandwich. And we also make an eggless egg salad that we make for a sandwich. So so not only for kids, for people that are, wanting to take a sandwich to work, or making a sandwich for lunch, bean spreads and those kind of spreads work well as a base for the sandwich, and then you add whatever you want to it, like lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that.
Right, right. And we might add as well that there are thousands of recipes in the website, drmcdougall.com. They're free also. And you have an app as well, right?
Yes.
It's I know I downloaded it. It's very convenient, and you all can get all these marvelous recipes from that website. Well, thank you, Mary, and thank you, Heather. I know you will stay here for questions and answers as they come up. So I would like to introduce one of our guests today, and her name is Emma Roach, and she is the founder of PlantPlate.com. And she's the author of Whole Food Plant-Based on $5 a Day ebook series. She's a stepmom to a growing 10-year-old boy, and she understands the importance of healthfulness and flavor and affordability when it comes to meal planning for families. So I would like to introduce Emma. How are you doing, Emma, and where are you from right now?
Thanks, Gustavo. I'm actually from Australia, and I currently live in Europe, so I'm on a different time zone to you guys. I'm actually from Australia, and at the moment I'm living in Europe. I live here with my husband and my 10-year-old stepson, as you said. He'll be starting the 5th grade next week, starting in September. And yeah, he's taken a packed lunch to school every day since he started kindergarten. So I'm not always the one packing the lunch. He's got lots of different parents to pack lots of different lunches, but we've had 4 or 5 years to sort of figure out good options that he likes. That are healthy, that are starch-based, and he loves bread and potatoes and pasta and all those things. So yeah, it's really easy. As Heather was saying, kids they often have a very short amount of time to eat. They might have 10 or 15 minutes at recess or lunch, and they're always really eager to get out to play, or they're busy chatting to their friends. So you really want to, go for things that are easy to eat and that are a little bit more calorie dense, so they can pack, a little bit more food into a short amount of time. One thing we like to do for the recess, for the morning break, is pack homemade baked goods. So you can do muffins or cookies or slices that you make yourself. You know, no oils, just with fruit and applesauce, oats, whole grain flours, things like that. A lot of the time, we'll make up a batch on the weekend. We'll put them in the freezer, and then all you have to do the night before is take one out, and it, you know, it thaws out. You can put it in the lunchbox in the morning, and that's really easy. And if I keep them in my freezer, then my husband can't eat them all when we've gone to bed. So, you know, that's really helpful too. You know, if people are looking for recipes, because, you know, normally with baked goods, you've got eggs, you've got oil, you've got all those sorts of things. So if people are new to this way of eating, I think there's, like you said, loads of recipes on the McDougall website, and on the recipe app as well that people can use. Yeah, you know, fresh fruits, dried fruit bars, those are all great for the morning snack. You can get little pots now, I think, of applesauce, which those can be handy, you know, if you're in a hurry, just throw one in, it keeps well all day. Just pack a spoon, it's really easy to eat. And I also like to pack the little roast potatoes if we have any left over from lunch. You know, they keep well. My stepson really likes to eat them cold or at room temperature, and you can get the little screw top containers and put some ketchup or some salsa in, and they can dip it, and, you know, that's a really fun snack for kids and grown-ups. That's one of my husband's favorite things to take to work as well. Yeah, you know, as you guys already mentioned, whole wheat sandwiches for lunch, that's an easy option, easy to make, easy for kids to eat. You've got loads and loads of different fillings you can try. When my stepson was young, we kept it simple, so PB&J and fruit spreads, or just plain nut butter, if they're allowed at your kid's school. Now, you know, even now his favorites are pretty simple, just a homemade hummus with a little bit of cucumber, or some sliced up sweet potato left over maybe from dinner the night before. You can slice that up and put that on the sandwich with some condiments or some extra vegetables, and that tends to keep really well during the day too. I think, yeah, I was also going to say soup. You know, you can take the thermoses. If you're pressed for time, you just make up a big batch on the weekend for you and for your kids, and then you can just, you know, put that in the thermos, maybe pack some extra whole wheat bread or a whole wheat bread roll on the side, and they can take that for lunch, and you can take it too. And that makes life pretty easy in the colder months or in the winter, which we have a lot of here. You know, older kids, they might be a little bit more adventurous. They might want to try new things. So lately we've been occasionally doing brown rice sushi, and, you know, bit of cucumber, bit of carrot, maybe some bell peppers. And if you make them really small, they can pop them in their mouths. They don't need utensils. It's really easy. Whole wheat pitas with falafel and hummus. That's a, you know, really good, really filling option, especially if you've got older kids that need, you know, they're hungry all the time. They really need to eat a lot of food and get a lot of starch in a short amount of time. Again, once they get older, once you've got kids in their teen years, you could do grain-based salads with whole wheat couscous or quinoa, put in some beans, some chickpeas, some chopped vegetables, and then if you can get one of those little cooler bags, you know, the sushi and the salads, they'll keep in there with a bottle of frozen water, and they'll stay cold until lunchtime. So, yeah, we also try to keep it simple. We have a pretty steady rotation of a lot of the same foods, and we just change things up as he changes, as he grows, as he needs more, as his food preferences change, which they do a lot. So we just try to keep up with him, basically.
Right. Well, very good. Emma, can I ask you a question about the same question I asked earlier to Mary and Heather? Have you had any questions from school about not having enough protein or calcium for your child?
No, I haven't, to be honest. These days I don't do a lot of the lunch packing. I did a lot more when he was younger. So it's only maybe 1 or 2 days a week, and no, there's never. I mean, no, it's not.
Okay,
for us,
well,
it hasn't
good.
been a problem. He actually he gets a bit excited when he has something new and different, and he likes to go and show his teacher, and they by, you know, according to him, think it's great and want of eating so healthy, and they actually have a fruit-only policy on Wednesday and Friday, which means the kids for the recess or the morning break, they're only allowed to bring fruits or vegetables, no cookies, no chips,
Right.
nothing like that. So they do, yeah, they're trying to push things in the right direction, and I don't think that, that they express much concern because
Okay.
healthy. And,
Was your child always? He's 10 years old now. Did he always eat this way, or was there a transition
no,
period?
we only eat this way at our house, actually. So it's in the beginning it was a little bit difficult because he had the foods that he was used to, and those weren't exactly the same as what we eat at home, obviously. But I've eaten this way since I moved here, since I've known him. So I've always cooked this way at home since he was about 3 years old.
Oh.
So he adapts really well, and he loves the food here, so that's really great.
Good, good. Well, thank you, Emma. This is very useful. Thank you so much. One quick question: what kind of bread do you usually use for sandwiches? Any?
I don't know if my answer is going to be so useful because I'm not in the US. We have an organic bakery right across the road, and their bread just has 4 ingredients. So it's whole wheat or whole spelt flour, water, yeast, and salt.
Right.
And we slice it. We have them slice it, and then we just put it in the freezer, and then you can, take 2 or 4 slices out at a time and make the sandwiches, and they'll thaw out by lunchtime as well.
Right. Very good. Thank you, Emma, very much. And I will go on now to Emily Honeycutt. And I want to welcome Emily. I want to say a few words about Emily. Emily is a vegan nutrition and cooking instructor, and she is a mom of a 9-year-old son, and she has worked with Dr. McDougall in the past, and her website is emilyhoneycutt.com. Again, everything that I'm saying here about websites and emails will appear on the screen when you have the replay later on. And her bio and contact information is on her website. And she will be adding a lot of information about kids' lunches in the kids section of the new website that she has. And I want to welcome you, Emily. How are you doing today, and where are you calling from?
Great. Hi. I'm calling from Sacramento, California. And yeah, thanks so much for having me here. And yeah, I just revamped my website, and I've got lots of information on kids' lunches. So everything I'm talking about here today, you can find there. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear perfect, yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so like you said, I do have a 9-year-old son, William, and he is quite a picky gourmet eater. So I remember when I was a little kid, I had the same thing packed every day for me. I had a peanut butter sandwich and an apple and a cookie every day, and I thought that was just fine. But William is a little bit different. I've been vegan since he was born, but I would pack him a peanut butter sandwich or cashew butter or something. But that really doesn't work for him. He gets really bored easily, and in fact, just yesterday he asked what we were having for dinner, and I said, "Oh, we're gonna have spaghetti," and he burst into tears and told me that he hates spaghetti now. So, and then, one day he'll say that he hates Chipotle, and if we go there, he'll fall to pieces. And then the next day he decides that he loves Chipotle, and can we go there? So it's, I think that I've sort of programmed him to be a little bit too gourmet with all my recipe testing and all of that kind of stuff. So, lots of times I'll pack lunch, and then it'll come home uneaten. And I think part of that is, maybe lunch seems a little too boring, but I think it's also partly because the school schedule lunch and then recess. And, the kids would rather play than eat. So, you have to really pack lunches to be really easy to grab and go. So we have a Planet box. You know, like Mary was saying, everything is so much easier now, and they have these little containers. So that's what we use, and it's little sections. So William's favorite now is my eggless tofu salad sandwich, which I don't make very often. I think if I made it every day, he wouldn't like it so much. So I pack that on pumpernickel, which, you know, makes it a little bit more fun. I think pumpernickel is a fun word.
It is.
I think one of the tricks for little kids, well, he's 9 now, so he's not so little, but switching up the bread. You asked a question to Emma about what kind of bread. You know, if I packed the same thing on just regular whole wheat bread, I think it would not be so fun. But if I pack something on pumpernickel or on marble rye or on an English muffin or on a hot dog bun or, you know, something different, then it's more fun. I also pack pinwheel sandwiches sometimes. I've got a veggie pinwheel that I use Kite Hill nut-based cream cheese. You know, the old vegan cream cheeses were mostly made of oil and they were gross, but now they're made of almonds. And put a bunch of veggies on that and roll them up. Hummus, of course, works great. And roll those up, and they can just grab them and pop them. Like Emma said, brown rice sushi, William loves that. So if we make brown rice sushi for dinner, and he started to help me with that, then, you know, I'll make an extra batch and pack that. What else? The pinwheels. I make a chickpea salad sandwich. I call it Save the Oceans salad sandwich with a bunch of herbs. And so I do that on marble rye. And, you know, they're not always that labor intensive. You know, sometimes I'll make that, I'll make a batch. And then I'll make pinwheels using a cashew cheese spread that we get here in Sacramento. It's by Cultured Kitchen. And they make a bunch of flavors. You can get it all around California. And he really likes that. It comes in basil, pesto flavor, and I put red peppers and olives on that. Or, of course, I'll just make a nut butter sandwich. I'll put just cashew butter instead of peanut butter. I mean, that makes him happy. Then it's not just boring, like, you know, a usual peanut butter sandwich. And, you know, I'll try to switch up the sides a little bit. He loves red pepper strips, but if I pack red peppers all the time, he gets sick of them. So I'll just boil some marble potatoes for dinner one night, and you know, the colorful ones that are purple and red and yellow.
Yeah.
And then I'll just pack some cooked ones in his lunch, and beet chips. We've seen lately. They were at Trader Joe's for a while, and now they're gone. They're coming back in the fall. Right. And not the fried oily ones, but the ones that are just dehydrated beets. And he went absolutely crazy for those and loved them. And, of course, you know, like Emma said, too, making homemade sweet treats. Honestly, I don't bake that much because if I bake very often, then my husband just gobbles them up.
Right, yeah. I identify with that.
Yeah, he's listening to this right now. He's not going to appreciate that. But so I try. I don't bake too often, but when I do, that's, you know, a real treat. And then, of course, they can be, you know, oil-free, and, you know, I use nut butters and beans and things like that in my baked goods. And you'll find those recipes and stuff on my site. And, of course, packing lots of fruits and veggies and using hummus for dips. And, you know, I try to think, you know, it doesn't have to be a sandwich and sides. You know, you do things like sushi and falafel and, you know, other things and make it more bento style. And having those little containers is really handy. And William likes stuff like little tofu cubes and little tempeh strips and, you know, making it really handy. So,
right. Do you find it difficult to find oil-free breads, or do you bake your own bread?
No, I usually don't bake my own bread. You know, I go to Whole Foods and the Co-op, and you know, I'm a real label reader. there's there's a couple local bakeries here, and so no, it's not too hard with resources here in town. So, well, not really.
Okay. Okay. Do you ever give your child chocolate?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, one of our favorite desserts after dinner is strawberries dipped in chocolate. And so I'll just take like a tablespoon per person of semi-sweet organic chocolate chips, and I'll just pour a little bit of soy milk over the chocolate chips and just microwave it for, like 20 seconds, and just whisk that up. And then we'll just get some nice fresh strawberries and, just whisk the chocolate up until it gets melty. Make a quick chocolate ganache, and then just pour a little bit into little tiny, like sushi dippers, and then he can just dip the chocolate. So we only each have like a little dab of melty chocolate to just dip the chocolate, and that's his favorite dessert. So
right.
It's mostly just eating strawberries and having a little dab of chocolate.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a treat, so you don't do that every night, right?
Yeah, that is a treat,
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right,
yeah, and
right.
he loves it when he comes over to my place and to our place.
Right.
Then he knows, oh, can we have strawberries and chocolate? Oh, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
he's
good.
a little kid, and just because we eat a healthy plant-based vegan diet, I never want him to feel like that's a sacrifice.
Right.
I want him to know that that's fun, and he's not giving up anything.
Right. I just, some people are asking about nuts and nut butters. They are high in calories, and so Dr. McDougall does not, and we can then go back to Mary and Heather. I don't think it's something that kids maybe eat every day and in large quantities, but they're used as spreads. What are your thoughts about using nut butters and a lot of nuts?
Well, in general, kids can handle more fat than adults
Right.
can. So my children do have higher fat foods. They'll have nuts, they'll have dried fruits, avocado, the things that if you're an adult and you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to eat. But as a child, a very active child that doesn't have any weight issues,
They're running around all day long.
Yeah.
They need extra
they need
calories.
those high-calorie foods. So we don't use nut butters that have any added oils. They're just the nuts themselves that have been processed and have the additional or have
Right.
in them.
Okay.
And I know there are some schools that do not allow kids to take certain kind of peanuts to school, and so you have to be careful with that.
Right.
Sunflower butter or cashew butter. There may be other nut butters that you can bring, but if you can't bring nuts, then you can use hummus or those types of spreads.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. You can look for sun butter. Most, like for peanut butter cookies, just use sun butter, and a lot of recipes use sun butter or use tahini. At my son's school, they allow nuts, but the kids with peanut allergies just have a separate area, which I don't know if that's great or not. But he went to a camp where no nuts at all, so you just have to sort of be aware of that. But William can eat plenty of nuts, and he runs around like crazy, and he's always been really skinny, so I don't worry about that at all. But I know I have to watch it with the nuts.
Right. Yeah. Oh yes. Well, thank you so much, Emily. Any other thing you want to say before I move on?
If you just have any questions or more resources or anything, just check out my website at emilyhoneycutt.com, and my contact information is on there. So feel free to email me with questions, and I'll be happy to respond.
Right.
Thanks so much.
Right. Thank you again, Emily. And I'm going to introduce our next guest, who is Miraz Agarwal. Miraz is a professional photographer and a mom to 2 school kids. One is 9 and one is 3.5 years old. And she started the plant-based lifestyle 3 years ago. Cold turkey, she said. the day after her cholesterol came borderline high, and then in 6 weeks she could see a difference where it was back down into the healthy limit with no meds, and she has stuck to it ever since. And both her kids eat lunch at school, and their school is not free, no peanuts or no tree nuts. And we're excited to have you here today to hear what your ideas are for your kids. So how are you doing, Miraz?
I'm good. I'm good. So in addition to what you said about no tree nuts and peanuts, also my little one's class doesn't allow any seeds. So no sunflower seeds, no chia seeds, no seeds at all. So it's been an interesting year so far packing lunches for them. And my older one pretty much eats everything I send her. My younger one, the one whose class doesn't allow the seeds, is more picky. So it's and he's since he's more picky, he likes finger foods. I have to try and give him finger food he can easily eat. He doesn't really like to eat with a fork and spoon. But I've lucked out so far in that they have microwaves in the school. I simply send their lunches in glass containers. They heat it up. And, I don't have to really worry about sending it warm. And the other place where I've lucked out is that since it's a Montessori school, my little one gets to prepare his own snack during the day before lunchtime. So he'll eat like a fruit or he'll eat carrots. So he's not famished by the time it's lunchtime. So usually what I pack is mostly the previous night's leftovers. But that doesn't work for the little guy. So he doesn't like bread. But being of Indian origin, we eat a lot of roti-based food. So roti is like your tortilla. And I've gotten really good in the last few years stuffing it with a variety of things. So I'll stuff it with cauliflower, I'll stuff it with potatoes, I'll even stuff it with leftover lentils, I'll stuff it with spinach. And I can easily make that into a nice roll-up and just send it to him, and he can eat that with his hands, so it's not a problem for him. And my older child's most favorite lunchbox food is salad. Just salad, just plain green salad, spinach. He takes a box full of spinach in one. She'll take a dip, a dressing dip in another, which I make with the tofu. And then I found these little things. They're really crunchy. They're basically freeze-dried vegetables, like freeze-dried corn, peas. And when I see them, I buy 3 or 4 bags at a time because usually I don't find them otherwise. So she loves that. I can pack that. I pack that about 3 times a week for her. She loves to take baked beans. She doesn't really like to take stuff with bread also, even though she eats bread at home. So it's rare that I'll give her, I can send her a sunflower seed butter sandwich, but it's very rare because she doesn't like it, because the bread gets hard and she can't warm it. She likes food that she can warm up. And then she likes pasta with white sauce. She also told me to tell you all that she loves water, while the other kids drink milk because they serve milk in her school, and she refuses to drink milk. And she told me she loves the avocado bowls. So I basically scoop out the avocado and use the skin, and I'll put rice in it, I'll put some salsa in it, I'll put grated carrots. And I recently bought a spiralizer at the Amazon, the Amazon mid-year sale that they had. So I bought a spiralizer, and I spiralize zucchini and carrots, and she just gets a thrill out of eating those long noodle-shaped things that she calls them. Right. She calls them worms, and she loves eating them. Wow. And being of Indian origin, I also cook a lot of lentils and peas and beans and legumes. And she loves my chickpeas, which are chanas, and I make it pretty dry, so it's not crispy like your baked chickpeas, but it does have a sort of gravy, but at the same time it's not soaking wet like a sloppy mess creating lunch. And then she'll take a tortilla along, which is the Indian roti along, and I always have rotis pre-made in my freezer, so it's just a matter of thawing it out in the morning. And some of her best, most favorite lunch foods are burgers. So I'll take any of the leftover veggies that I have from the previous night, and I always have rice or another starch in the fridge, like even wheat berries. Since I make my own bread, I usually have wheat berries cooked or spelt berries cooked, not in the powder, not in the flour form, but the actual cooked form. And then I'll add that in the morning into a mixture, and I'll just put it in the panini press, and it becomes a burger. And she loves those. I make them really tiny, so they're like really bite-sized. And then I don't have to pack her rice, or I don't have to pack her any other starch to go with it. And she loves eating fries. So I always have those pre-made ones in the freezer. Then I just have to thaw them out and send. And by the time she reaches, school and it's lunchtime, they've already thawed out. She microwaves them, and she's done. And the most recent, funnest part of her lunch we've figured out is I found this little potato chip maker on Amazon. You just slice it really thin. It comes with the pre-slicer, and you just put them on the, it's a ring, and you just put the rings on, and in like 7 to 8 minutes, you have microwave-made potato chips, no oil. We just season it with, Italian seasoning, and that's it. And someone asked if avocados get brown. Not to my knowledge, because I use it as I use the skin of the avocado, and I put when I make the guacamole, I add it to in between, the salsa and the rice and everything in the avocado bowl. So when she eats it, it doesn't really. She hasn't noticed any difference in the avocado getting brown.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
So, these are some of the foods my kids enjoy.
Can you tell us a little bit about the white sauce that you mentioned earlier that some people have been wondering what you meant?
I use basically, instead of adding, since nuts are not allowed in their school, I make the actual gravy of the sauce with potatoes. So I still add the seasonings, and I still add, the apple cider vinegar, etc., to give it the cheesy flavor, and I add nutritional yeast. But I what they mention in the recipes for using, say, cashews. I don't use cashews because then my kids can't take it to school. So I'll just use boiled potato, and I'll puree it in my Vitamix. And it's the flavor that at this age, the kids are not wondering about. My kids at least don't wonder much about what goes in. It's the flavor. As long as it tastes good, they're fine. So I just use a potato mix. So it's not easy for me to figure out alternatives for, nut-free if I'm going for a Western recipe versus an Indian recipe. Indian recipes I can adapt anytime. So for the Western recipes, they don't take a lot of Western recipes other than the burgers and the pasta. And they don't like the red sauce, so it's always the white sauce that we're doing.
Right. Okay, all right. Any other ideas you were going to share?
I actually made a list because I asked my daughter what she liked.
Okay.
So, oh yes, she said she loves veggie shots. So I slice up veggies really thin, and then like really, really thin, and then I put them in a long container that I have. I don't remember where I got it, but I got it last year. And then I'll put in the bottom of the container, I'll put the dressing, and then I'll put the veggies in. So they tell everyone, oh, we're having shots. Just like, typical shot glass. And at this age, it's all about making food fun for them. And if I don't make it fun, if I just tell them, oh, here's the veggie and here's the dip, they're probably not going to be as interested in eating it unless I give it a cool name. So cool name goes part of the way. And then she's always eating her salads. So this is another way to get in something that's not green into her.
Right. It's funny
how... She has no problem getting greens in. It's the other colors that don't get in unless I'm stuffing them into my tortilla. And the stuffed tortilla, we call it a paratha. So if you ever want to look up a recipe, you can look up any Indian paratha recipe. And that's like a finger food because it's no oil. It's just veggies stuffed in a tortilla in dough, and then roasted on a dry pan.
Oh, that sounds interesting. It's funny how if you give it a fun name to something, well, the kids will eat it.
Yes.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, Mirat. This has been very informative. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I do have some questions later on, but I guess it's general questions that all of you can answer. I will introduce the next and last guest of today, and her name is Kristen Kristen Bummer. And I want to say a few words about Kristen. She has been a vegan for 5 years, following Chef AJ's Ultimate Weight Loss Program. I know Chef AJ personally, and she's a wonderful chef, and she's also a guest in some of Dr. McDougall's events. Anyways, Kristen, she is a stay-home mom. She's raising her 2.5-year-old. She works with Meatless Monday at Pittsburgh to help hospitals and universities and K through 12 schools to bring more plant-based options to their cafeterias. And you can find more information on her recipes and tips on her blog, which I'm going to put on the screen in just a minute, or actually in the replay. But I want to welcome Kristen. How are you doing today? Where are you calling from?
Thank you. I am calling from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for making the time to be here today, and we're excited to hear what you do with your child.
Sure. So I right now, she's only 2.5, so she goes to like a drop-off daycare for 2 short days each week, and we do a snack and lunch. So we have a chance to provide both little things, and it works out well. If she doesn't finish snack time, they just offer it again at lunch, and she comes home with empty containers every day. So at some point during the day, it's getting in her, so that's good. So I also, like the others have said, I really take advantage of sending leftovers from the previous night's dinner, or I'll take a couple nights out if I have a meal that's particularly lunchbox friendly, and I'll make up the containers for the next couple of days and then be done with it. So she loves brown rice, but it makes a big mess. So one of the ways that I found to send that with a little one is by stirring in hummus. So I'll just pick her favorite hummus, stir in a little bowl of rice, and for her sometimes I'll throw in some sliced up olives or something like that to jazz it up, but most of the time that's all she needs. And I also do a Mexicali rice that Chef AJ did on one of her recent cooking party webinars, and throw in black beans and corn and make like a little Chipotle style rice bowl out of it. And just put in a little container, and that's really easy to eat with her spoon. And then I do corn tortillas. I'll take that same combo with rice, beans, different flavor of hummus, and roll it up in a little tortilla and some kind of foil wrapper or wax paper to help her hold it together so it doesn't. It's all about not being messy and trying to send easy food that a toddler can eat without making her teachers upset. So one of our other favorites is a recipe on my blog that is called Guilt-Free Homemade Waffles. And I just use bananas and rolled oats. That's usually the way I eat it when I'm making it for her and my husband. I'll throw in a bunch of seeds, so we'll add hemp seed, chia, flax, sunflower, sesame, all sorts of things, and just press that all into the waffle iron, and it comes out with a consistency. I don't know. It's a dense waffle or a soft granola bar, depending on how you want to look at it. So that's a really easy thing to just chop up for her, and I'll send a little waffle square, and she'll eat it plain like a granola bar, or sometimes she'll dip it in whatever I might send with her for that. One of my other favorites, I made a little sample here to show you. I don't know if you'll. Oh, here's our waffle. So it's a twin waffle iron, and then I cut it into 4 sections for her. And then one of my favorites I just created for this school year are little potato pizzas. If you can see without all the toppings coming off, but it's a little. You can do it on an English muffin. An Ezekiel muffin is what I tend to use, but I just spread it with hummus and pizza sauce and then whatever topping she wants. And I'll try to have her pick so that she has a little buy-in when she has her lunch the next day. It's something that she chose. So onions, mushrooms, broccoli, olives. And then what I did with the potato is just took a baked Yukon Gold, which is a nice small, sort of compact size for her. Have it already baked, and then just slice it in half, throw the toppings on it, and it doesn't need to be cooked. After that, it all actually, when it's refrigerated, it holds together really well, and she can just pick it up and eat it. So it's a finger food, but still works for a great starchy entree. Other good finger foods. Oh, my absolute favorites: Japanese sweet potatoes, and I just take the long skinny ones and slice them.
Can you make it go a little bit higher?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Then we can see it.
So I just slice them first before roasting, and they make they're soft enough that she can pick, so they're soft enough to eat, but they hold together really nicely, so they don't just mush apart like a mashed potato in our hands or anything.
Right.
And they're sweet and tasty, and if you haven't tried Japanese sweet potatoes yet, you're missing out. So she loves this. It's a great finger food, and it fills her up, and it's something she can eat quickly and kind of stick with her for a while. Roasted chickpeas are another favorite. I'll just use, I'll pick a favorite flavored balsamic vinegar and just toss some cooked chickpeas in that, and then throw it in the oven for, I think I do it at like 400 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes or so. And just keep an eye, let them get nice and brown, but before they're burned, and that makes for a nice dry finger food snack that she can get some good beans in, and it just feels different. It's something different than a bowl of chickpeas, which we do, sometimes as well, just cold. And then another favorite are some kind of energy balls. I'm just gonna roll off my plate here, but I've started making really tiny ones because the normal size would be made with like a tablespoon cookie scooper, and I will break that into, I'll make some full-size ones, and then I'll break them into 4 pieces and roll it up so that it's bite size. Even I had my 5-year-old niece over here testing them, and she and a 3-year-old were all just popping the big ones right in their mouths, and it was okay. They can get through it, but it's not it's sort of like eating a pile of Tootsie Rolls.
What is that again? I didn't understand what it was again.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it's an energy ball. So
okay.
There's a lot of different recipes out there depending on what nuts are allowed or not. My school doesn't have an issue with nuts. So I think this one is dates, oatmeal, cashews and almonds, and cocoa powder. So it's a little bit chocolatey.
Right.
So I have a recipe for a lemon flavor too. That's really good. They're very simple, only a few ingredients, but it's I don't eat nuts. I really don't eat bread or seeds. So school lunches are a great way for me to pack a lot of extra calories in for my daughters, and she needs a lot more than I do. So I like to not only get those things in her, but I like to get them out of my house. So I'll make them, and just sort of, they're out of sight for me, so that she can still get it and get some benefits from it, but I don't have them, as tempting sitting around my house waiting for me.
Do you use any type of plant-based milk in your home?
Yeah, I mean, we use almond milk primarily, but I use it mainly for cooking, and she's not a real big fan. So I actually do make my own that she tends to like a little bit more, but it's still hit or miss. Sometimes she'll like it and sometimes she won't. There's actually a recipe on my blog too for that. And I just created it from a big variety of nuts and seeds just to get it kind of a broad base of nutrients. And I'll add cinnamon and vanilla. She likes to make things with me, so her favorite time is pulling out the Vitamix, and I let her scoop out some things and dump them in and watch it all spin up, and she's more inclined to eat things if she's involved with making it. So I've been doing some plant-based milks recently that way. She has cousins that drink the chocolate almond milk all the time, and so she's been sort of asking for that, and so I came up with an option that we could make a cocoa version at home that doesn't have all the sugar as the store-bought one.
Right. I guess what you said is true. If the kids are involved in making the food, they're sometimes more willing to eat it, right?
Yeah, it seems to make a big difference.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Kristen. Great ideas. Very good. I have a question for that is for anybody here, and a lot of people feel very passionate about this topic, which is using a microwave. Of course, well, personally, I don't use it to cook food, and if I ever use it, it's very seldom. But what are your thoughts about microwaves, Mary and Heather? I know that your dad, Heather, Dr. McDougall, mentioned this in one of the webinars that we did a few months ago. But what do you?
We have never really cooked in a microwave in our home. I use it for reheating, and still do to this day. And I don't know, you cooking in your microwave either?
I have one, but it's in my garage, and we'll use it once in a while. But I'm not well versed enough on the dangers
No, me either.
existing or not of microwaves. But
Right. Okay. Anybody else? Do you have any other comments about using microwaves?
I feel the same way. I don't cook with it. I use it just sort of to reheat sometimes. You know, like I said, to melt the chocolate for the strawberries. 20 seconds here or there. I know some people feel very passionately that it's horrible radiation, all that. I can't really speak to that, but when I started my health journey, I don't know, over 15 years ago, I started with macrobiotics, and so that's sort of where I came from. And macrobiotics, you can't use a microwave. There's a lot of information about that, and you can't cook on electric either. You're only supposed to use gas because of the waves. And I know and in macrobiotics, you also can't eat nightshade vegetables, and it's very. You think the McDougall diet is restrictive, try macrobiotics, and I found it very limiting when that was in my 20s to not be able to ever reheat anything. I was working at a regular 9-to-5 job, and I would go to pack my lunch, and I found it, from a practical point of view, to just never use a microwave a little difficult. And so then when I came back to healthy eating, I found to choose sort of a little bit more, I don't know, practical approach to say, okay, I'm not going to cook with it, and I'm going to eat a plant-based diet, and I'm non-ethical vegan, but to just say, okay, you know what, I need to be able to do this long-term and be a little bit more, I don't know, less strict about it, because I can't spend, 4 hours a day in the kitchen and this kind of thing. So that was my thinking about it. But, if people don't want to use microwaves, great, good for them.
Right. What about, this is a question for everybody here, what are your thoughts on using soy, anything that has soy or that is produced with soy? Some people are concerned about that. Any ideas?
We use some soy products that are natural, usually choosing non-GMO soy, but soy is a rich food. It has a lot of extra calories and fat in it, and so we consider it a rich food, and it's not something that we recommend for a drink or for that kids drink this as a beverage. I use it in cooking sometimes. When we first started this journey 40 years ago, you could not go into the supermarket and buy soy milk. So when Heather and her brothers were growing up, I made my own almond milk and cashew milk, and that's still their favorite.
Which I still do. But we'll also use unsweetened almond milk, and we do use organic tofu occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally, but not often.
Food.
It's a rich food.
Right. Okay. Anybody else has any aversion, any problems with using anything with soy? Or is it okay for you all?
No, I mean, for us, it's the most affordable option, and as you know, as Heather and Mary said, it's not something that we're drinking or that my stepson's drinking by the glassful. It's something we'll use a little bit in cooking or a splash on oatmeal or something like that. We're lucky that we can get also non-GMO soy very easily, and the milk we buy, I think, is just a whole soybeans and filtered water. So I've seen a lot of debates and discussions about it online. There's a lot of conflicting evidence, but I think, yeah, a lot of what I've looked at tends to say, you know, if you're eating small amounts of the natural soy products, not the soy protein derivatives, then not a huge, you know, adverse health effect. At least my understanding of it. So.
Right. All right, very good, very good. Well, ladies and everybody else in the webinar here, we are past an hour, so I think we will need to close this webinar. I think it's been a very successful, and we'll probably need to do another one like this in the near future because people are really enjoying and writing very nice comments. So I want to thank each one of you one more time and give you the chance to say any closing remarks or anything that came to mind that maybe you forgot and you want to say as we do a farewell.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for joining us. It was lots of fun, and you know, I do the best I can. I make sure the kids have a big breakfast, and as soon as I pick them up from school at 3 o'clock, I have a car full of snacks, and they, you know, eat
all day long.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been fun hearing everybody's ideas and sharing our own. So thank you.
Right. Well, very good. Thank you all again. Thank you, Kristen. Yeah, I'm just showing you on the screen, and then thank you, and Emily. Again, thank you for all your ideas. Same with Miraz, I really appreciate that, and with Emma, thank you again. And everybody else, remember that you will get these ladies' contact information in the email that you will receive sometime tomorrow, which will have their contact info and the link for you to watch this webinar, which will have some annotations that will help you get to websites and things like that. I do want to mention one thing, and that is I'm going to show everybody the website for Dr. McDougall, and this is the site where, let's see, where you can find a lot of information here in the search. You can type anything that you want to look for, and it will come up. It will show you a newsletter. And there's all sort of just tremendous resources here, and everything is free. Well, not everything, but most of it. The things that are not free, of course, are the travel, the trips that the McDougall Trips Adventures. And I want to mention that there's something coming up really soon, the 3-day advanced study weekend. I hope everybody here will register to go either in person or to watch it online. I will be there, and I'm really excited. There's an amazing lineup of guests and that will talk in this webinar. So please feel free to go to Dr. McDougall's website under programs, and you will find that there. And let me stop that so I can see all of you. Thank you again. And next week we will have Dr. McDougall back. We missed him today, but he had a little break this week, and we will probably have more question and answers next week, so bring your questions. And last week it was a webinar about sugar, and we'll probably have some more questions about that because it's a very important topic to all of us. Thank you again, and we will see you soon, Heather and Mary. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.